Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Swastika, and today we would be going through the current affairs for July 21st, 2020. So, I have done my master's in political science from Jawaharlal Nehru University. I have also done my BA honors in political science from Delhi University. And in case you like my content, please do press the subscribe button. That's the red button at the bottom of the screen. And if you have any doubts, you can mention them in the comments. That'll be absolutely great. So the first thing that we are going to go through is some short news, and after that we are going to go and discuss the editorial and some of the important points that stuck out. So on the first page of the newspaper today, there was the article that said that the UK vaccine prompts protective immune response in early tests, scientists, as said by scientists at Oxford University. So, according to a Lancet study, the vaccine produced neutralizing antibodies and it also boosted the immune system as well. So, this basically means that the phase 1 trials of the medicine are complete, and this is proving to be a really great medicine because it is proving to have two benefits. One of them is obviously producing antibodies against coronavirus, and the second is that it is boosting the immune system up as well. This was deduced in a Lancet study. So, the second piece of news that I saw in the newspaper today was S. Shankar, who is the foreign minister right now, saying that India does not and never wants to be a part of the alliance system. So an alliance system was what basically in international relations it basically meant that you have to become allies with one side or another while they go to war with each other. So India traditionally has never been has acted like an ally to any one power because we have always followed the policy of non-aligned movement, which basically means that we don't align to one side or another side. We are with everyone and everyone is with us, and we just want to stay non-aligned and not participate in any kind of wars. So he said that India has always never followed an alliance system, but the global shifts are leading to opening up of spaces like Japan, India, European Union, and others. So countries that dependent on US are facing issues, and because of that, we are seeing a global shift in opening up of spaces in Japan, India, EU, and other countries. So he basically said that India has never aligned. In the next piece of news, we see that the first Arab unmanned mission to Mars, called Hope, takes off from Shima space station in Japan. Also, super interesting because the idea of colonizing Mars has always been in the back of our heads. Because eventually, one day, Earth will face certain consequences, and the universe will die because the sun will die. So we eventually have to move to an interplanetary mode of living, and we have to colonize other planets in order to ensure the survival of humanity. So the first Arab unmanned mission to Mars, called Hope, is taking off from Tanegashima space station in Japan. Sri Lanka is to research Ravana's aviation routes. So King Ravana and the ancient domination of aerial routes is now lost, and Sri Lanka is going to do some research on this. That's great. So in the editorial page today, that is this page at the bottom part of it, which is this part, there is an article by T. Stanley Babu and IVS Anand and V. Carmelis. So T. Stan and are they basically former senior Indian railway officers, and the views expressed are personal. So they basically are saying that the privatization of railways is a shit move for a lot of reasons. First, obviously, because railways are almost like a social welfare organization. बहुत ही कम नाम पे हम लोग एक जगह से दूसरी जगह तक पहुंच जाते थे जब तक गवर्नमेंट के हैंड में थी, बट जैसे ही वो प्राइवेटाइज होएगा, जैसे ही ये सेक्टर प्राइवेटाइज होगा, वैसे ही उनके रेट्स जो हैं, जो फेयर्स हैं, वो बढ़ेंगे और जो गरीब जनता है वो इसको अफोर्ड नहीं कर पाएगी. इसके साथ ही साथ उनने काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें और भी एक्सपोज करी हैं. I'll just read it out. The Railway Board says the objective of the initiative was to introduce modern technology, rolling stock with reduced maintenance, reduced transit time, boost job creation, provide enhanced safety, provide world-class travel experience to passengers, and also reduce demand-supply deficit in the passenger transportation sector. So what they are saying is that all of this was supposed to happen, and also UK and Japan have privatized their railways completely, but most countries have retained their rail networks for public convenience. There is a total investment that is needed from the private sector of 30,000 crore rupees. The responsibility of private sector is procurement and maintenance of coaches, not of tracks, infrastructure, etc. So this is a major point, that the responsibility of the private sector ends at just the procurement and the maintenance of coaches. The tracks and the infrastructure and track fencing and all that work is going to be an additional burden on the government, that the government still has to do. So it's like only the maintenance and procurement of coaches is going to be the job of the private sector. So there are obviously a lot of issues with it. In case of a problem, how do we fix responsibility when coaches are owned by investors but operated by railways and staff? So this one is really obvious. There is a dual responsibility role in play here. The private sector is taking one part of it and the government sector is taking another part of it. But if something goes wrong, then whose responsibility is it going to be? Who does the public pin the blame on? We don't know, right? And so this is problematic. Coaches in India are not of international standard at the time of introduction. They were 20 years old. So when we had these coaches, they were like 20 years old, and we obviously don't have state of art technology. It's outdated. It's like it doesn't have any. It's not of any international standard. So that's problematic. They're talking, so currently the trains roll at like 120 kmph, but now they're talking about the speed needs being increased to 160 kmph. But if they do that, then the tracks will obviously need to get fenced. There will need to be a proper evaluatory mechanism that sort of looks at all these other things, all of these things that are not getting looked at, and the government has no role in fixing. So this is obviously a big issue, that the government is not going to have any role in fixing the fares. So the private sector can just increase it to with drastic amounts, and all the poor people in India, which is literally most of us, will not be in a position to pay for it. So this is very problematic. So they're saying this tender should be given to IRCT instead. Why are you giving this to some private player? You can easily give this to IRCTC because they already are experienced with running the Tejas trains. So the next article that I am going to talk about is in the op-ed page, and it's right at the bottom, this column over here, and this is by Abhishek Jain and Shanal Pradhan. So they are researchers at the Council of Energy, Environment and Water. So they are just making a very simple point here by saying that, so if you would know, the last 15 days, PNGKY, which is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, has been mentioned 500,000 times in my current affairs, and this basically provides free food grains, which is 5 kg grains and 1 kg chickpea to 800 million beneficiaries under, and is trying to further have a one nation, one ration card sort of thing. So this, but there are obviously a lot of issues with it. Like there are issues with almost everything in our country. The one of the major issues is that this benefit is not reaching the most vulnerable sections of society. So this is what they are saying, that this benefit is not reaching the most vulnerable sections of society because the government is just simply giving them food grains. Most of the people who are living like in deep trenches of poverty don't really have access to fuel or cooking arrangement to sort of cook those food grains, right? So a lot of them, because of that, rely on roadside dhabas, and that makes this entire exercise of giving free food grains to poor people futile, because a lot of poor people don't really have uh, cooking arrangement and fuel. So that is something that needs to be looked into. So there is a solution to this problem. He is saying that community canteens need to be set up. There are two stellar examples of community canteens. Example one is the Anna canteen in Tamil Nadu. Another is the Indira canteen in Karnataka. So they rely on government support and they provide sustenance meals. So sustenance meals basically means meals that will sustain your life, and they are super cheap from rupees 5 to rupees 10, and these canteens rely on the government to support them. They're operating sustainably, but they can also offer nutritional meals. So these canteens are also in a position to offer nutritional meals that are slightly expensive from rupees 15 to 20, but this is still lower than what the dhabas will charge. So an initial social investment of 26,500 crore rupees towards 60,000 canteens is needed. So this was a brilliant idea. I actually feel this might work, and I'm surprised I didn't come across it before. But this will basically take care of poor people not having cooking arrangements. If you could have a lot of community canteens, that would, I think, be more beneficial than distributing free food grains, because a lot of people don't have fuel, cooking arrangement, and all sorts of things. So also this has additional benefits in terms of contributing to jobs, employment growth, and sustainability. Jobs could help bridge nourishment gap between poor and urban workers. Community canteens should guide towards sustainably harvested food crops, which are low in cost. So they should basically focus on sustainably harvested crops that are going to be of lower cost, and the demand signals for farms to diversify crops. So this will basically send signals to farmhouses to diversify the crops that they currently have. And that's going to be great, because not only do you have jobs and sustainability and you're bridging a gap between poor and rich, but also low cost jobs and everything is going to be there. So guys, this was it for today. In case you love my content, please subscribe. That's the red button at the bottom of the screen. And thank you for watching and staying with me. Thank you.